Hello and welcome to Nutrition Lunch and Learn. You are live with Sandra, your RDN. Every week, I have the pleasure of dishing out weekly nutrition and wellness news for your mind and your body and your soul. And I hope that everybody had a wonderful weekend. And I hope that your week is going well so far and productive. And so, thank you for those who join me live on a regular basis and listen and tune in and reply and comment to me. I appreciate everything. I want this to serve as a platform where you can get questions answered, where we can kind of dispel some myths and some misinformation, hopefully settle some confusion in regards to nutrition. And for those who are listening to the replay, I thank you for taking time out and pausing and watching the replay, listening to the replay. I want you all to have just as much involvement as those that are tuning in live. So if you have any comments or questions or aha moments or a testimonial that you want to share, please do that. And we are in August, not October, August. And as you are tuning in, before I get into the theme, as you are tuning in, please feel free to say hello to me, give me a shout out, say your name, where you're tuning in from. And are you glad school is back in session? Just say yes or no if you're glad that school is back. So we are on our back to school theme, getting back into a routine, into some kind of structure, even those who don't have children. I remember when I did not have kids, and it just seems like the summer months were more relaxed just by nature. But then when school comes back in, we just seem to have to get back on some form of a structure, a little bit more efficient than what we are in the summertime. And so the topic today is packing your lunch. Is packing your lunch really the best approach to avoiding packing on the pounds? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And before I jump in, I am going to get my window going so that I can respond to you all. So give me 1 second so that I am able to set my window. Here we go. I am in position so I can set my window to where I can see your comments. Okay. Thank you. So let's jump right on in. So does the thought of having to prepare just another meal, does that sound like a chore to you? Or does the thought of planning and prepping sound daunting and overwhelming? Okay, that is very common, very, very common. But on the flip side, though, most of us know that packing a lunch instead of eating, even in the cafeteria at work, a lot of times people do not think that the cafeteria at work is a restaurant or eating out, but it is. My marker is if you must get a receipt or if you must spend money, typically you're eating out, right? And so that is a good way to save money, okay? As well as improve your health overall. Do we want to never not eat out? Of course not, but we want to limit how often we eat out. And so the good news is it's not as hard as you think to prepare something for lunch to where you're not always having to eat out. So stay tuned. I'm going to share just two simple tricks of the trade that will help you to make your lunches as easy as 1, 2, 3. All right. So we're continuing to break those food strongholds, and we are continuing on creating a lifestyle of self-care because that's what it's all about. That's some of the philosophies that I stand on. And so for those who don't know me, my name is Sandra Goltry, and I am a registered dietitian, a licensed nutritionist, and a certified personal trainer, and your accountability partner. I'm a player coach in this thing. And I simply help adults not only to lose weight, but also to keep it off so that you have confidence in knowing what and how to eat for your body, as well as when. Waking up feeling rested so you're not feeling all sluggish and tired throughout the day. And most importantly, disease prevention. Avoid getting on medications. Avoid a warning such as prediabetes transferring over to diabetes or disease management. Maybe we already have something that we're having to deal with. Let's reduce those medications. Let's, in some cases, eliminate those medications. But we want to find a way to where the disease is not controlling us and that you can live a fruitful and joyous life. Okay. And it's all about making sustainable and realistic life changes. I am a player coach, like I said, and so I'm here to guide you every step of the way and by providing solid nutrition education as well as personalized recommendations, relevant life coaching as well, and this stuff sticks with you. It doesn't end when I say I'm done working with my one-on-one clients or my clients are ready to fly on their own. This stuff stays with them, and it doesn't just benefit them, it benefits their family and their friends and those that are around them. So that's just a little me in a nutshell there. And so for those who are tuning in, we are continuing our theme on back to school, getting back on a routine, finding a little bit of structure back, and after that summertime madness, right? After that summertime madness. And so we can call it fun. And so this month is about getting back and finding that routine. Okay. And so one of the things that goes on the back burner during the summer months are weight loss goals, typically, and that we set earlier in the year. And so remember those, some people still call them New Year's resolutions. Well, today we're going to talk about trying to get back on track. And so before we jump into that, I want to ask you a question. So are you ready to wave goodbye to the bloating and ignite your metabolism and to fuel up your workouts? And so I'm excited to share my upcoming challenge, which is the final one for 2024. So this is your opportunity to have a chance to have a challenge with a dietitian, doing it with you, having live coaching, live nutrition sessions that will help guide you through the challenge and to help kind of explain, well, why do these meals look the way that they look? So definitely stay tuned for more details, more information. And I am going to post the URL. That's why you see me looking around, so I can give you the actual chat so that you can take a sneak peek if you are not able to stay to the end. So let me just type that in right here. And it's called Post-Summer Detox. Okay, so it's a clean eating, 3-day clean eating challenge that will kind of help detox you from the summer. So think of a detox, think of a cleanse, just kind of get the body back on track after the summer months. Okay. All righty, so let's jump right on in. So let's do a poll. I always love to do a poll. So let me put my poll banner up. Let me find it. Let's see here. The benefits. Looks like the benefits is what we're looking at here. The benefits. Here we go. So let's talk about my little poll here. Do you bring your lunch or do you eat out? Let's start there. Do you bring your lunch or do you eat out? Okay. So on most days, okay. So most of us typically have a 5-6 day work week. So on most days, are you bringing your lunch or are you purchasing it or maybe eating what your job may provide? So just kind of give me an idea. So either eat out or you bring your lunch. Okay. Just to give me an idea. All righty. And so let's talk about the benefits. So let's talk about the benefits of packing your lunch. So there's several benefits. One thing, when you pack your lunch, it lets you stay in control, because it's all about control, and control meaning of what you're exactly eating. When we eat out, we don't know how they're preparing the foods in most cases. We know some of the obvious things that are in the foods, but we don't know everything that's in the food. And we don't know what they've added that's going to increase the calories more than what we may think that the calories, or not even calories, some of the nutrients like sodium is a big one, okay? And bringing your lunch also means that you can enjoy some healthy homemade versions of dishes that are typically maybe laden with trans fat, think artery clogging or added sugar, that typically that happens when we're eating out because they have to keep things flavorful. And so many of us are still working from home, or many of us are just going to stay working from home. So packing and preparing your lunch is still recommended. So I've been hearing, many Zoom meetings that occupies people's times, and they're not able to, they skip lunch. They're still skipping lunch. So I've noticed, and I've witnessed that with myself, is that when we're working from home, we're more busy. Things are a little bit more crazy than when we go into the office. When we're in the office, at least we know we're in the office, and people typically pack a bag. They'll have some snacks, they'll have their lunch. And I encourage you to do the same when you are at home, because we think it's easy to just go into the kitchen and just, let me whip this up, whip that up because I'm home. But it doesn't typically work that way. So still have your lunches prepared and organized as if you were going to work. All right. And so my next question I'm going to ask you is, are you working from home office, or are you doing a hybrid? Okay. Meaning some days you're in the office, some days you're at home, or maybe some parts of the day you're at home and some parts of the day that you are at the office. And if you're still working from home, like I said, I recommend that you still are going to do your breakfast. People typically will cook their breakfast. They're super busy. There are ways to do that in advance too. But I usually say still have at least 1 to 2 snacks, depending on how long your workday is, and lunch. Typically, we'll cook dinner when we get home, or we'll prepare it because we're home. So at least have 1 to 2 snacks and a lunch prepared to save yourself from being vulnerable to what comes into the office or eating out. Okay. And so let's dive in a little bit deeper. And if you're tuning in, I see people jumping on. As you're tuning in, please tell me your name and where you're tuning in from. And are you glad the kids, even if you don't have kids, or your kids are off to college, or you're empty nesters altogether? Are you glad they're back? Are you looking forward to being back on the structure? All right, so let's dig a little bit deeper in how to make lunch easier, that whole process. Packing is a snap. We do not have to make this all a glamorous and all very difficult. So most adults prefer not to have a sandwich for lunch on a regular basis, but know that there are healthy options in there, and it is an excellent choice when a microwave or a way to warm up your food, or you're mobile, you're on the go. Making a sandwich, having a sandwich will meet the criteria of a meal. So it definitely can be done. So while you are at the time that you're packing up for dinner, I usually say the night before, that is a good time to pack your lunch for the next day. Okay. And this is why I typically will say, hey, have a separate lunch, have a separate dinner meal. So you're not getting bored eating the same thing. People typically have the same thing for lunch that they have for dinner, and they do that for multiple days, and then they're bored and they're tired. And that's going to trigger you to really want to eat out because you want something different. So this is a time saver. You're already in the kitchen. You're already cleaning up. So take the extra, 3 to 5 minutes to say, hey, let me go ahead and prepare what I need for my lunch and my snacks the next day. You also can squeeze in prep time by cutting up fruits and vegetables and storing them in containers for a couple of days. So you're not doing that every single day. And you can do this while you're fixing dinner the night before, and to make things, you want grab and go. That's another philosophy I have. You want to grab and go, make things as simple as possible, because we're already busy as it is. And then there's always the unexpected that pops up, right? As we say nowadays, life is lifing, right? And so as you're tuning in, if you say hello to me, that'd be great. And let me know if you're glad the kids are back in school, or if you have any aha moments, definitely chime in and let me know. And so, and if you don't like cutting fruits and vegetables, because a lot of times people they don't feel like they have the time, or they don't like to do it, then buy it already cut up. They have lots of fruits and vegetables that are already cut up for you. All right. So my question to you is, how many meals do you prepare in a week? 1 meal, 2 meals, more? Some people like to cook every day. They don't like leftovers. Some people don't like to cook at all. So where do you fall on the spectrum? Okay. And like I said, make 2 main dishes. A lot of times people, when they do cook, they'll typically just make 1. Make 2 main dishes for the week. So therefore you have a little bit of variety, and have a couple of options for your snacks. Have some fruit variety, have some variety in your snacks. So again, you are not caught off guard. All right. And then let's chime in and go into, and one of the ways that I'm talking about this as well, it's more work on the front end. So let's talk about, because planning and prepping is usually very daunting for people. So it's on the front end, it may seem like a lot of work, especially if you're not used to doing it. So think about your first time on your job, or your first time playing in a sport, your first time at something. It always takes more effort because it's new, and you have to learn the whole language. You have to learn all of the philosophies, all the rules, etc. But repetition. Think about when we practice our sports, we practice our speeches, we practice our job, we exercise, things get easier, and we have a routine, and we find a rhythm. Okay. So I would say stick with it. Don't try to do 7 days in one setting. Okay. Start small, 1 or 2 days, at least 2 days. So you're not doing it the same thing every single day. Okay. That's it. And so before getting into my second and final point on making lunch easier, let me share a little bit of details about the upcoming challenge that will start on September 3rd. So right after the holiday. Enjoy your holiday. Don't feel like it's the Last Supper, so you don't have to overdo it. That's not the type of challenge that I run. So you will still have food. You will still have food that you enjoy and that has taste. And so let me share a little bit about it. So, and really, most of us see the scale kind of creep up by the end of the summer, and we want to kind of reel that thing back in. And so just know you're not alone. And with the right support, you can still meet your goals, or a realistic goal, by the end of the year. Okay. And if this resonates, I have the solution for you. It's called Post-Summer Detox, or we can say Post-Summer Cleanse, 3-day challenge. And this complimentary program is designed to bridge wellness and it propels you forward, okay? So you can have that energy, so you can have that radiance, feeling good about yourself, okay? And again, it starts on September 3rd, and I will put the banner up here at last. Everything is live, and so I'm doing live training on all 3 days. I will go on at the same time and talk about a different topic that is directly related to the challenge, and as well as information that you can take with you. But you will have 3 days of easy to prepare meals and snacks. You will have a prep guide, which this is an awesome way to get some training and some guidance on planning and prepping, and you can reap the benefits of that planning and prepping, because you will have the joys of being able to grab and go warm up. You're not cooking every single day, okay? So, and they will tell you on what days to do what, so you'll know when to do things. You will have a itemized and detailed grocery list, so you'll know exactly what to purchase. You have substitution options, and then you also have access to me. So it's not just a challenge where you just go off and do it on your own, even though you can, because you definitely can repeat it. But for the first time, it's good to take advantage of having other challengers with you. And then you also have the guidance of a licensed nutritionist to help guide you and answer those burning questions that maybe you have had and want to get those answers to, okay? And so again, you're going to have a convenient shopping list. You're going to have daily live streams. You're going to have support. You're going to have accountability. So I encourage you to invite a friend or family member, because challenges are always more fun with a buddy, and that healthy competition. So join the challenge. You will have immediate access to your guide, and you can start reviewing it, looking at it, shopping, etc., and getting ready. Okay, getting ready for September 3rd. And this is an opportunity to come out of this challenge renewed, your best you, and hopefully feeling more optimistic and having that motivation back. Okay, and feeling good. Okay, a lot can happen in 3 days. A lot of times people don't realize, oh, it's only 3 days, what can happen? But I've had people say how amazing they felt and how they felt less bloated after the challenge, okay? And satisfied. They have more energy. That's another big one too, because in order to have energy, you must have gas in your tank. You must have fuel. So let's wrap things up. So let's talk about the plate method, okay? So the plate method. And so for some, the issue is what to pack and how to pack, okay? And so one easy trick is to use a plate method to guide you in packing your lunch. And so what that means is, let's see here. What that means is, let me get back to my section here. I was going to try to put up a banner here, and I lost my banner. So let me get it back. Give me 1 second. Let's see here. All right. Here we go. Found the banner. All right. And so one easy trick is to pack your lunch is to make sure that you're getting the right foods, because sometimes people will have a lot of one thing and not a lot of another meal. Is to load your plate like this. So have 1/2 of your plate with that non-starchy vegetable, that your leafies, your vegetables, your broccoli, your cauliflower, or whatever it is that you like, your spinach, your green beans, and then have 1/4 of your plate filled with your protein. Okay, so a lot of us have 1/2 of our plate as the protein, but have 1/4 of your plate the protein. Okay, variety. You don't have to have chicken all the time. You don't have to have fish all the time. So that's kind of perceived as you're healthier, but there are other healthy cuts. There's lean cuts of pork. There's lean cuts of beef. There's lean cuts of other forms of protein. So, and they all have its place, but it's in moderation. So there are exceptions to the rule, but a lot of times people cut it out of fear, okay? And then you want to have 1/4 of your plate with their starch, okay? A lot of times people don't even have starch with their lunch. They just have vegetables and meat, and that's a big, big, big no-no, okay? That will definitely send you into a slump, and you will crave, all right? So have whether that's bread, whether that's rice, whether that's potatoes. I'm trying to think of things that people just think that is on the ban list. Corn. Have something, okay? And then for snacks, think of yogurt or cheese, nuts, crackers, dried fruit, fresh fruit, things of that nature. So you want to make sure you have variety, okay? And the size of the plate matters. So the size of the plate matters. So we want to have a regular size plate, okay? We don't want to have an oversized plate, okay? Especially if you're just, if you're over 6 feet, and so that's something different. But if we're and then at the average size, we need to be mindful of the plate size, and we don't want it too small either, because a lot of times people, especially women, they'll make the mistake of thinking less means better. That is not necessarily the case with food, okay? Because if it's too little, then you will backfire. It will backfire. All right. So hopefully that was helpful. All righty. And so let's talk about that. And so how does your plate look when you're eating? Are you one of the ones where it's usually some kind of salad and some meat, and that's about it? Or are you missing grains specifically? Because that's very common. Or do you have all three? So when I say all three, that's the protein, that's your vegetables, and that's your starch. Okay. And think about how you currently make your plate. And ask yourself, always ask yourself, is something missing? I tell my clients, always have a grain on your plate. If it's salad, even if it's a croutons, what's available to serve as a starch. We need that because that is our brain food, okay? Yes, we want whole grain. That's better. But if you're in a situation where you can't have whole grain, not having whole grain at one meal is not gonna hurt you, because you have other food groups where you can make up for that fiber. So that's why it's good to eat around the plate, okay? That's what we call eating around the plate. All right, and so let's put it all together. So what's the big takeaway message? So these are just a few these are very simple, very doable steps, okay? Very simple, very doable. Your plate method and ways to pack your meals to make sure that you have at least 2 meal options so that you have options during the day. And so these are just 2 simple ways that I think are realistic, okay? And that you can save yourself from getting bored, save yourself from being vulnerable to eating out or whatever is brought into your face when you may have the chance of losing control. And that's what we want to avoid. We want to avoid losing control. And when we do these things, that means our bodies are constantly fueled, and our bodies are not lagging, and our bodies are not in excess as far as what we're bringing into it. Okay. So any questions, any comments? Again, I encourage you to sign up for the challenge. I'm very excited about the challenge. It's the final one, like I said, for 2024. And so this is an opportunity to kind of get ready, get your body in tune, because we got the holidays coming on, and we need to get through the holidays. We want to get through the holidays without gaining any additional weight. Okay. So here's your opportunity to lose. We kind of call this the lose window because you have to be at a certain point. If you're not ready to look at the holiday food and just say, okay, I don't have to overindulge, then maintaining your weight is great. Okay. But if you're to that point where, okay, I don't have to lose control, I eat when I need to eat, and I'm done and I'm good, then you'll likely lose and still enjoy the holiday. So it just kind of depends on where you are on the spectrum. Okay. But remember, you're going to get a detailed guidebook, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. You're going to have images of the meals. You can see what they look like. You're going to have a convenient shopping list. You're going to have an opportunity to ask me questions and get support for the 3 days, as well as support from your fellow challengers, and a lot of encouragement, an opportunity to hit the reset button and to realize that losing weight doesn't have to be so hard. Okay. I do a whole segment on that. Okay. It doesn't have to be so hard. Okay. So thank you for tuning in. I hope that you have a wonderful and blessed rest of your day. And I will see you all. Actually, the next time I see you all will be at the challenge. So I hope to see you there. Have a great one. Bye-bye.